Hello, Duke fans. Welcome in to the Duke Blue Devils Insider Podcast, your daily podcast for all things Duke Blue Devils athletics. We thank you so much for joining us here today, as well as every day, to get your latest on the Duke Blue Devils. My name is Hugh Strain, your daily host, as well as beat writer at Duke Blue Devils on SI. So as we all know at this point, Duke fell in absolutely heartbreaking fashion on Saturday night to North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Check out yesterday's show for the full breakdown of that game. Duke was in control for practically the entire way, held double-digit leads in the first and second halves. Pat Gungba fouls out with about 6 minutes left to go, and that really did some damage to the Blue Devils, really limited the intensity that they could play with defensively on the interior, and gave North Carolina a chance to, shrink the lead for the Blue Devils. And eventually a Seth Trimble three, as the buzzer sounded, gives the Tar Heels a 71-68 victory. Duke now falls to 21-2 and 10-1 in ACC play. North Carolina improves to 19-4 and 7-3 in league play. Duke's 10-game win streak snapped. But besides the game itself, we're going to talk about another aspect of that whole situation here today that's getting a lot of attention on social media and just around the internet the day after the game. And it's the court storm by North Carolina fans. Now, court storming has been a pretty hot topic around college basketball for the last few years, whether it should be allowed, whether it should be banned. Some people love it, some people hate it. And it's a pretty interesting topic to talk about because from a fan standpoint myself, I think court storms are cool. I think they're great. I think they're deserved in a lot of situations on big wins. And it's part of a home environment for a home team, especially in a big time game. But the issue is they are extremely dangerous a lot of the time. And last night, that was the case. Frankly, not a great look for the University of North Carolina. There were two court stormings. After Trimble hit the shot, the court was stormed as the buzzer sounded. Then the referees decided that nearly half a second had to be added back onto the clock. So they had to clear the court, clean it up, play out that final 0.4 seconds. Then the court was stormed again. And Duke fans, or the Duke team, its players and coaches, had a really, really difficult time getting off of the floor. There's a fine line between storming the court and celebration with your team and putting the other team in a dangerous position. And North Carolina fans got a little intense. There's videos all over social media of North Carolina crowding the Duke team, not letting them leave, taking videos, flipping them off, throwing objects at them. John Shire said after the game that he was worried for his family's safety. Says punches were thrown, says some of his staffers were punched in the face. But there's several videos of objects being thrown, and there's a lot of mixed opinions about it. In terms of the court storm itself, I think it's warranted. I think that's totally fine. But it becomes completely unacceptable when it puts the opposing team in a dangerous position and safety of that team is legitimately in question. And that was the case last night. It was not a great look for the University of North Carolina, its students and its fans, for how they treated the Duke team, its players and coaches while they were heading out of the court. Really made it difficult, and it just wasn't a great look throwing objects at them and stuff. Is this the first time this has ever happened? Obviously not. This has happened all the time. As of right now, I'm not sure if there's any serious injuries, but John Shire did say that punches were thrown and there were clearly objects thrown at them. Theo Pinson, a former UNC guard who was at the game, was clipped on a video saying that he threw a punch, sort of laughing about it. I'm not going to get too into that because I don't know if that's true or if he was joking. So I'm not going to factor that in, but definitely some physicality and some intensity from North Carolina fans. And John Shire was not happy after the game, opened up his press conference following the loss with some statements around that and was really, really, really heated about it. So to open up his press conference after the loss to North Carolina, John Shire said, quote, "It's hard to talk about the game when I was most concerned for the safety of our players. I don't want to make it about that, but I got staff members that got punched in the face. That's not what this game is about. That was a scary ending." Obviously, in the moment, it's practically impossible to stop a court storm like that in a packed arena, especially in a moment like that. And again, I think it's completely warranted. I think it's an appropriate reaction from North Carolina fans. It's the greatest rivalry in maybe all of sports, definitely in all of college basketball. You're at home, you win on a buzzer beater three. It's a game that will live in infamy forever. Storming the court, I think, is is a good reaction, but the problem is that the fans made it difficult for Duke players and staffers to leave and legitimately put them in a dangerous position, which is where it completely goes too far. The videos of things getting thrown at Duke players, Jon Scheyer having legitimate fear for his family's safety, for his players' safety, for his coach's safety is not okay. And there's no place for that in college basketball, and there never will be. It takes away so much of the beauty of this rivalry when things like this happen. And again, who knows all the details? This is just videos on social media. There's very mixed opinions over the whole court storming in general, but the court storming is okay if everybody is safe. And there's a very fine line to follow with that. This isn't the first time Duke's been in a situation like this. Just a couple of years ago, after Wake Forest beat Duke in the regular season on its home floor, a court storm happened, and former Duke forward Kyle Filipowski was actually injured by a fan who stormed the court, some sort of ankle foot injury, and had to be carried off the court after the game because of the court storm. And it's things like that that kind of cause outrage around college basketball and really make this debate. Can court storms be allowed? Are they going to happen forever? Probably. Are they? I don't see a world where they're ever totally impossible to stop, but there has to be consistent ways to get the opposing team off the floor completely safe, because at the end of the day, the safety of the players and coaches matters the most, and the safety of everybody. And when that's put in jeopardy, it takes these issues to a whole new level. North Carolina Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham made a statement after the game regarding the court storm. This is what he said. Quote, "Rivalry games are tremendous. Court storming, absolutely fabulous. And it's really tough. And I feel for our event staff. When they rushed the court, a number of people got knocked over, but then we had to clear the court again. And so when we normally have something like just rushing the court and the game is over, we do have a line by the benches to get people out safely. So again, I apologize to coach, his family. Obviously, if someone got injured, that's just really, really disappointing, but we'll do the best we can to make sure that doesn't happen." Haven't seen much on injuries to Duke staffers, but like Scheyer said, he says punches were thrown. His staffers got punched in the face. If that's the case, and it was truly a punch in the face by a fan on a Duke coach, that is absolutely unacceptable and takes this issue to a completely new level. I'm not going to get into that because I don't know all the details and all the facts. I don't know how serious that is. But the bottom line is there are several videos clearly showing objects being thrown at the Duke program, different players and members, and just making it extremely difficult in general to get off the floor. And even if there's no malicious intent, which I'm not saying there was ever from North Carolina fans, just not allowing the opposing team to get off the floor with a monsoon of people like that is dangerous in and of itself and could cause major issues to anybody. It's happened to the Duke team before. Duke lost Kyle Filipowski for a couple games because of a court storming incident. You can never put the safety of players and coaches and anybody in danger with court storming. In a way, I think if fans are court storming, they're sort of holding themselves liable because you're sort of in that monsoon of people. But especially for the losing team who just needs to leave, they can't be put in a position of danger. And if Coach Scheyer had legitimate fear for his family's safety, that is not okay. And there is no place in the sport of college basketball for that to occur. Very interested to see what debates kind of arise from this, because there was heated debate after Kyle Filipowski injury occurred. And now this seems like the next big one where there's a lot of mixed opinions on it, a lot of mixed opinions on if people think it's right, if it was wrong, if it shouldn't happen, if it should be allowed. You know, I think court storming is a cool thing about college basketball. It's a cool environment. It's a cool scene to watch. And I think it's deserved in a lot of situations, but it has to be in celebratory fashion towards your own team. It can never be of bad intent towards the opposing team. That's when it becomes unacceptable and when it becomes a major, major issue. So who knows what's going to happen from that, if debates are going to continue to arise over court storming in general, and if it will ever just completely stop. It probably won't, but who knows? That's how it happened, and it's disappointing to see. I think it's a bad look for the University of North Carolina, if based on some of the videos on social media. Obviously, North Carolina fans aren't the only school to do this. This has happened plenty of times. I don't know for sure, but there's probably a good chance that Duke fans have done this at some point. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I think it's a really important issue that needs to be talked about. and we will see what happens in the future. But that's what Shire and North Carolina Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham had to say about the issue. And that is going to do it for us here today at the Duke Blue Devils Insider Podcast. We thank you so much for tuning in today and every day to get your latest on the Duke Blue Devils. Make sure to check us out at si.com/college/Duke every single day to get your latest on the Blue Devils. My name is Hugh Strain, your daily host, as well as beat writer at Duke Blue Devils on SI. I'll see you tomorrow.